Ubisoft is hit with some bad news after the latest earnings report because apparently after it was revealed, their stock dropped 12% or nearly 12%. This is coming from that Park Place. Ubisoft stock plummets 12% despite exceeding sales targets. So you might be thinking like, well, that's strange. Why are they exceeding their sales targets and the stock plummets? Well, let's take a look at this because the devil is in the details. Ubisoft stock plummets 12% in the past 5 days following the company's most recent earnings report that revealed it had exceeded sales targets for its first financial quarter of the year. Yahoo Finance reports that Ubisoft stock fell 12.42% in the last 5 days following Ubisoft's first quarter report on July 18th. In fact, the stock is down 14.73% for the year so far. If you go back an entire year, the stock is down 31.53%. If you go back 5 years, the stock is down 74.73%. So apparently the company is just kind of on a bit of a free fall lately, even though, like they say, they actually exceeded their sales report numbers. The big dip seen in the chart above came in the wake of Ubisoft reporting that its net bookings hit 290 million euros or $315.76 million. This exceeded the company's prediction of 275 million euros or $299 million. So you might be thinking like, well, that seems pretty good that they actually exceeded their target goal, right? Well, this is also the goal that Ubisoft themselves put out. It wasn't necessarily from any analysts, and I will get more on that in a moment. Ubisoft co-founder Yves Guillemot touted the net bookings, saying, in a selective marketing, we delivered a solid start to the year with net bookings above target, reaffirming that we are on the right track. The quarter notably saw the launch of X Defiant that is off to an encouraging start as we continue to grow the audience at a steady pace and plan a quarterly roadmap of content that will allow us to firmly establish the game over time. And then they go on to talk about some of their other upcoming titles like Assassin's Creed Shadows or Star Wars Outlaw, and that's the one I want to dive into in a little bit more detail. The gameplay we presented for our two highly anticipated upcoming premium titles, Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, was not only praised by players and critics alike. Are you sure? Sure, it was praised. There's been a lot of pushback for both those games, but also highlighted the cutting edge capabilities of our game engines. Yeah, I kind of doubt that, and I'll explain more in a moment. Let's just get through this. Despite the net bookings exceeding Ubisoft's internal predictions, investors and analysts were expecting even better results from the company. Following the company's fourth quarter earnings report earlier this year, Bloomberg's Daniel Zwittich claimed that analysts were expecting an average estimate of 376 million euros for the quarter. That's about $408.7 million. That means the net bookings and sales were 22% lower than what analysts initially expected. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier when I was saying that Ubisoft exceeded their expectations, because analysts in the industry are saying that their expectations should have been much higher than what they are. So it looks like Ubisoft is basically just setting the bar really low for themselves just so they can say they exceeded the standards, which isn't really a good thing for a company, and that doesn't really instill much faith in investors if your company is setting such a low bar for itself. It does say next quarter it expects to bring in around 500 million euros or $544.5 million. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Star Wars Outlaws is going to be released next quarter. So it makes sense they're going to be bringing in more revenue if they're releasing a major title like that. But that's another thing too that kind of coincides with all the stuff that's been going on. And Ed mentioned it briefly earlier about how there's been a lot of pushback when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws, because a lot of people don't like the stuff they've been seeing Ubisoft release from this game. Star Wars Outlaw just released a 10-minute gameplay video a few days ago by IGN, and you can look at the dislike ratio. It's not a real positive reaction to it. Here, I'll play it just a little bit of that so you can get an idea what it is if you haven't seen it. You can check out the video yourself if you haven't seen it. But to me, this doesn't look anything special. Just kind of like a third-person cover shooter game. Like, yeah, we have plenty of those before. A lot of people are pointing out that it looks like it's sort of unpolished, and I kind of agree with that. It's an early gameplay video, or not super early because the game's going to be coming out in a month, but a lot of people are wondering after this video was released if they're going to delay the release of it. in order to try to polish it. Ubisoft said, no, this is actually going to be the release of it, which created a lot more pushback, and I think largely attributes to why it had such a huge like to dislike ratio. This article right here, new Star Wars Outlaw gameplay footage revealed and fans aren't impressed. Ubisoft is gearing up for the release of Star Wars Outlaws and recently released a 10-minute gameplay video. However, responses to the video were mixed at best. No, they're actually pretty overwhelmingly negative, as you can see from the like to dislike ratio. Despite this, Ubisoft has confirmed that there will be no Star Wars Outlaws delay and the game will release on August 30th as planned. The reaction across several different platforms has been critical of both the graphics and the gameplay. The negative sentiment about the graphics has been so bad that IGN has pinned comments on YouTube advising viewers to ensure that video is playing in high quality rather than defaulting to 420 here. Actually, let me check on that myself. Oh yeah, here's a comment. We noticed this video isn't airing at optimal quality by default. Please make sure to adjust the video settings. Okay. Yeah, I have the top settings on, so I don't know. I think that's just a way to try to get around it, and I think that's also kind of a poor excuse too, because if the video looks crappy, I think people understand like, wait, why does the video look so blurry and stuff? Oh, it's set to 420p here. Let me bump that up. So I don't think that's a real good response. I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that the gameplay doesn't look that interesting for a lot of people, at least not now, especially not with the price that they're going to be charging for this game. However, even after ensuring that this warning, people remain largely unimpressed. My video settings say quality, so it must be something else, said one skeptical viewer. So we're going to ignore the frame drops in the San Andreas like explosions, queries another user cut straight to the point. Looks like an alpha version that needs at least a year to be polished. So we'll see. I think this game is probably going to sell a bit, but is it going to be a huge like game changer or whatever? No, I think it's going to be kind of a flash in the pan type game where it sells a bit upon its initial release and then it just dies out and that's the end of it. Are they going to hit their mark of making 500 million euros? Yeah, possibly for the quarter. At least they could probably do some creative accounting to make sure that they hit their mark, but still, it's not a good sign for a company when they've been consistently losing value in their stock every quarter and over the last 5 years, to be frank. And when they're releasing stuff like this for their highly anticipated releases, then it's just getting this kind of backlash to it. Then their next big release they have is Assassin's Creed Shadows. Japanese government is threatening legal action against them for the way they're misrepresenting their culture and other things like that and just outright lying about Japanese history. So things aren't looking too good for Ubisoft, all things considered. Are they going to be able to correct course in this? Well, I think they're pretty much just going the same way most AAA gaming is going these days, in that it's just dying a slow death. Eventually, we're going to just see more indies and AA games start taking over and picking up the slack, because gaming isn't going away. It's just companies like Ubisoft, I think, are ultimately going to go away. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share the video out there because it helps out with the channel. Thank you.